All right, let's talk about the 3:30 games. A lot of games on at 3:30. I don't know if this is it's a pattern developing here, but you've got the best game or two of the week, it seems like, coming on at night most weeks. One maybe or sometimes two really good games at noon, and then they're cramming like 10 like decent games in at 3:30. Last week there was about 8 games on during the 3:30 time slot last week that were all like must-watch games. But Louisville on the road at Notre Dame. Louisville's undefeated. Nobody cares. Nobody talks about them. Nobody gives them any credit or respect. Ask 100 people who's winning the ACC. None of them will say Louisville. And I don't even necessarily think Louisville will win the ACC. But hell, ask them who's playing in the ACC title game. They won't even name Louisville. They made it there last year before losing to Florida State. But they're undefeated. Brom, year 2, was reloaded, retooled, whatever you want to call it, through the transfer portal again, and so far, undefeated. On the road at Notre Dame. Now, Louisville beat Notre Dame last year in Louisville. But they got to go on the road, play them in South Bend. I don't trust Notre Dame. I don't know how you can trust Notre Dame right now. I just don't. They barely beat I say barely. They beat a bad Texas A&M team on the road by 10 points, and honestly, that's probably their best win. But then they come back home, they lose to Northern Illinois. Then they blow out an absolute garbage Purdue team. I mean, just an absolute just dumpster juice team in Purdue. And then last week they beat Miami of Ohio, but it wasn't impressive. I mean, that game was close in the first half. I think it ended up being 28-3 or something. But I mean, they don't look like a very good team. Riley Leonard really struggles to throw the ball. I'm disappointed in their wide receivers for the 30th year in a row. I do like the running back, Jordan Love. Is that his? Probably. What's his name? What's that running back's name? Might be Jordan Love. Anyway, I really like that running back, and I think they got a decent offensive line, tight end. You know, secondary is still pretty good, but they just don't look like. Well, they don't look like a great team. I don't think there's anybody that thinks Notre Dame is great. I think whatever tier you put Louisville in, I think Notre Dame's probably about in that tier. They're not a terrible team like we make it out to be. It was an embarrassing loss to Northern Illinois, and Marcus Freeman's got to stop doing this. He's got 3 horrific home losses in his first 2.5 seasons at Notre Dame. Marshall a couple of years ago, Stanford a couple of years ago, now Northern Illinois. So, yeah, this game's in Notre Dame, but how much of an advantage is it really for this to be a home game for Notre Dame? None, really, that I can see. Louisville's a 6.5-point underdog. I don't know if they win the game. Maybe Notre Dame does find a way to win this one. Grind it out, run game, play good defense type of thing. There's no way I could lay 6.5 points for Notre Dame against an undefeated Louisville team. So I'm going to take Louisville into 6.5 points. I haven't bet this game yet. Should I bet it? Of course I should. Let me know. Should I bet this game? But for my pick, I'm taking Louisville plus 6.5. All right, also at 3:30. This is the we're in desperate need of a quarterback bowl. Oklahoma makes its first SEC road trip as they take on the barn. That's right, Auburn versus Oklahoma, also on at 3:30. Oklahoma, the smallest of favorites. Unbelievable. If you would have asked me even 3 weeks ago, even though Oklahoma wasn't great 3 weeks ago, what their line on this game would it be? I said, Oklahoma will be 7 to 10 point favorite on the road at Auburn. But then last week happened. They benched the quarterback, Jackson Arnold. Guy's a turnover machine. He's benched again. He's not playing today. To back up Hawkins or Dawkins or whatever his name is playing again. Now, look, Oklahoma did do better last week in the second half after the quarterback change. But how much of that really is Tennessee kind of thinking, you know what, we kind of got this game under control and kind of just manage it in the second half? How much of it is the change of quarterback catching Tennessee off guard a little bit, maybe? Oklahoma's just not a very good team. Now, I do think it's possible this quarterback plays good again today, this backup for Oklahoma. For starters, no pun intended by using the word starters there. Or maybe I did intended it. Let me know down below. But anyway, at least this week, that guy has practiced all week as the starting quarterback, right? He's gotten all the reps this week with the ones, or most of the reps with the ones, whereas, you know, leading up to last week, he was the number 2, so he had limited reps in practice with the 1. So it's possible he plays a little bit better. It's also possible he plays better because Auburn's defense just hitting on the same level as Tennessee is. Now, I don't think Auburn defensively is as bad as they are offensively, but they're not as good defensively as Tennessee is. So I am surprised, though, that Oklahoma's only now a 1-point favorite in this game. The line opened early in the week, Oklahoma -2. If you look it up now, it's got Oklahoma -1, even a pick 'em in some places. Now, here's the bad news for Oklahoma. And I'm just to be honest with you, I bet Oklahoma in this game early in the week. When the line came out on Sunday, I thought it was a typo. Oklahoma is only a 2-point favorite at Auburn. You got to remember, Oklahoma is getting a lot more like media attention in terms of their quarterback problems and offensive struggles because, well, they're a bigger brand, honestly, and they had the marquee game of the week last week against Tennessee. But Auburn's got their own issues offensively. They started Peyton Thorne at the beginning of the year, then benched him for that NPC, Hank Brown. Now they've benched the NPC again and going back with Peyton Thorne this week. So they've got the fucking musical chair shit going on at quarterback at Auburn too. So they're not any good either, but a 2-point favorite. But here's the problem here for Oklahoma. They weren't ready for the SEC. They weren't ready. If the SEC is required to put out these availability reports, they call them now, every Wednesday. It's basically an injury report. And you have to list players in certain categories: probable, questionable, out, whatever, that kind of thing. Oklahoma's got so many players out for this game it'll make your head spin. Their top 5 wide receivers are out. They've got a starting offensive lineman out. It looks like a mash unit. One SEC game, and Oklahoma just absolutely crumbles from the just absolute physicality of the SEC. And I'm trolling a little bit. One of the guys has mono. Isn't that the kissing disease? And yeah, one of the guys has mono for Oklahoma. So not sure which one of you wooden wagon wheels he was kissing on, but y'all are sick. Y'all are sick. With that being said, Oklahoma's an absolute disaster, as is Auburn. But I bet the game early in the week before the injury report came out. So I'm going to stick with Oklahoma getting a narrow win on the road at a terrible barn team. But boy, this is bad football. This is like one notch above last week's Florida-Mississippi State game. I think Auburn... How about who would win a 4-team playoff between Florida, Mississippi State, Auburn, and Oklahoma? Holy shit. Those are 4 terrible teams. I guess I'm taking the wagon wheels. Give me Oklahoma -2.